My husband thinks I'm going to leave him because he's balding even though I'm literally bald. He's 32, I'm 28. I have a variety of issues that cause baldness. I underwent chemo a few years ago, and I also have alopecia. I've just given up on having hair and shave what little grows now. My husband is going bald. It's been a long time coming, I've been noticing thinning for a couple years. But he actually has a bald spot now. He's very concerned that I'm going to leave him. I don't understand why, I'm completely bald. Not many people want a bald woman. And it would be a little hypocritical to leave him for being bald. All ignoring the fact that I married him, I'm not going to leave him over a minor change. He doesn't believe me and keeps asking if I'll leave him. Nothing I say ever makes him believe me. I've hugged him, sat him down for long talks, kissed him, complimented him, none of it works. What do I do? Wow, I didn't expect so many responses, thank you for the advice. Sounds like he needs therapy if no amount of reassurance is working for this insecurity of his. You didn't leave me during cancer. You didn't leave me during chemo. You didn't leave me when I balded. Why on earth do you think I'd leave you? I love you. And it is really concerning me you think I am this shallow hypocrite. If you can't get over this, I would like you to get therapy, because this is really concerning me. I love you. Something like that. Yup, he has some deeper issue if he is so fixed on this notion, despite the reality of the situation. If your rational arguments are not hitting home, it's time for a specialist to identify the root of the problem. I think this is one of those cases when someone else's feelings are purely about themselves and not about you. He's insecure that you're going to leave because he feels bad about himself, not because of anything you're doing or not doing. It's tough to say what could actually help, besides hopefully talking it out with a therapist or the like. He needs to work through his insecurity on his own, though your support is definitely important. It's not bald, it's just more forehead to kiss. Just reassurance, this is a big problem lots of men struggle to come to peace with. Tressless is a sub on Reddit for individuals of all genders, including men, coping with balding and hair loss. I think a lot of it revolves around regrowth or maintaining what you have, but there is some good advice regarding how to take care of yourself or someone else who is experiencing the many negative feelings associated with hair loss. I really wish this were a less stigmatized issue. Granted, for men it's often seen as much more socially acceptable than when women lose their hair, but it can be hard for anyone no matter how they identify. Best of luck to you both. I wonder whether there is some anxiety at play here. Do you think he would be willing to talk to a professional? I think some of the insecurity is from the fact that he is balding and not bald. I would recommend him taking power of the situation and getting rid of his hair. I did it recently, and although I would have a full head of hair if had the option, it looks good and it's nice to not have to keep watching it slowly disappear. I'm not necessarily sure on how best to approach this with him though. I'm sure someone will have better ideas on that than me. I was in a serious relationship with a girl in my early 20s who would clearly tell me that if I ever go bald and don't do hair implant, she would leave me. Talk to him, maybe he had a similar experience in the past with someone. Straight up ask him why he thinks you'll leave him because he's losing his hair. Don't accept fluff answers. If he won't stop, get him some therapy so he can understand how hurtful he's being. And #X200B. I'm old and cranky, so I'd be like, do you want me to leave you? Are you trying to tell me you don't want me anymore? The only downside is, you may not get an answer you like to that question. Talk to your husband about this and assure him that you love him and you would never leave him just because of hair. You can ask him to read your post here and the comments that this post gets. If something else is bothering him, then he has to tell you so you both can together fix this, but him having this here is not valid since you yourself is bald. First off, ask him if he really thinks you married him for his hair. Then tell him about all of the traits that make you want to stay with him. Also tell him that bald men are sexy. There are plenty of examples around. You could also suggest he get a bald skin wig to see what he would look like without hair. It may not be 100% accurate, but it would give an idea what he would look like bald. Related to this, ask why he's afraid of going bald. If it's only because he's insecure about you leaving, see above. If there are other reasons, e.g. his position at work requires a certain amount of attractiveness like sales, or he's insecure about his appearance, then those can be addressed. But they need to be identified. Good luck. Thank you to whoever posted this. You're a very kind and sweet person. Couples therapy and give him all the love and sexy times. He doesn't want to lose you and maybe deep down hasn't ever understood why you love him so much. Maybe now is a great opportunity to show him why. It also means he has to do some soul searching and find his true inner worth, because like you said, you wouldn't leave him for something as trivial as hair, so that shows he may not understand his value. I will say this though, the fact that he expressed these concerns means he really loves and cherishes you. It's hard for men to confess insecurities to women, especially the ones we're romantic with. It could be he's projecting his fears about his response to your being bald onto you. People do this. It's easier than facing the thought, I find my wife's baldness unattractive, making me a shallow person, but that thought can be dealt with if it's faced honestly. He's just insecure. My husband was afraid I'd leave him for years. I lost weight, he gained weight, he balded. It didn't matter me pointing out that I'd been really overweight for the bulk of our marriage or that my hair has gone gray or my boobs are droopy because the problem lies within him. We've been together for over 20 years and he's finally accepted that I love him unconditionally, finally. It's taken all this time for him to understand. I hope your husband would be open to counseling so you don't have the same journey I did. Edit. Spelling. Fuck him like your life depends on it. This has nothing to do with you, he's decided he isn't worth being with without hair and is projecting that judgment onto you. Whether it be through therapy, a toupee or just taking some time to come to terms with it, this is something he needs to work through rather than something you need to convince him of. I know this isn't relationship-wise answer. If he is that scared, hair transplant could be an option. Yes, it is expensive but many cosmetic surgeries are expensive. I am a woman and I had hair transplant. I am pretty happy with the result. Therapy or a friend with a stone tongue would help with his insecurity. Because you married his hair, instead of him as a person. Tell him to grow a beard. Most of the men in my family are bald, so I'm very likely to go bald. My plan is grow a beard and ride a motorcycle. Man shrugging. As a man that lost his hair at 20, and now 25 shave it twice per week, reassure him that it can be a good look. Paired with a beard or a bit of weight loss for a good jawline if he can't grow a beard, and a bit of confidence, bald is the new thing. You sound an amazing woman. He is lucky to have you, but as being a male in late 20s I can guarantee you we have insecurities because as being men it's already hard for us and then these changes make us feel unlovable and undesirable. Please keep trying and make him understand you just didn't love the hair on his head, you loved the whole package. Slap him and ask him if he's making fun of you. Just thinking outside the box. Reverse psychology. Something to get the cogs moving in his head. Edit. He also might feel better if he owned his baldness. Lots of people are bald. I think this is more of a mental insecurity and I don't think nothing you can do other than giving him professional help. I hate to have to be the one to say this, but maybe he's projecting because he actually wants to leave you for being bald. Sometimes when people insist that the other person is going to leave them for some reason, it's really just a way to act out their true desire to leave the other one. You should ask him if he will shave it off when you shave yours. Make being bald a thing you both do together? Or maybe take some extra effort to tell him how handsome he is, or make him get dressed up and do a fancy picnic in your yard or go out to eat if you can. Sounds like he just doesn't feel attractive, but if all else fails, therapy is always a winner. I know this will get lost in the sea of comments, but this video explains that you can't fix insecurities with outside validation. He needs therapy, because his problem lies within. Hopefully he agrees and wants to get therapy as well, because therapy is useless to someone who doesn't want it. Opening square bracket. Therapy is a good idea. If you're hairless too, you guys are going to get a lot of comments. I'm a bald male teacher and at my last job, I worked closely with a woman with alopecia who shaved her head. The amount of tacky comments we got was unbelievable. I mean, sure, we were a cute pair when we taught together. But balding men get a lot of unwanted attention about the issue, and I'm pretty sure this partnership is going to make that factor worse. If it makes you feel better, there's nothing you can do to make him feel like you love him. He needs to accept himself, and once he does, he'll have the blinders off and will see your acceptance of him. Again, therapy. Call it couples therapy and go in with him. I say this lightly because there's no way I can know what he's thinking, but I personally have an issue with projecting my own feelings onto my so. It may just been that learning to love you in his own way was difficult and that he was able to accept you as you are because you have medical reason. He may feel his reason for balding isn't significant enough reason to be justified like yours. Insecurity will seep in like that, the cheeky bastard. If you've been together long enough, I suggest lightly mentioning couples therapy as a way to just make sure your relationship is on track. Therapy is always good for couples as it gives you an outlet for places you didn't even realize you needed them. I hope all works out. You two seem to care deeply about the other's feelings. Men are shamed for being bald and often told how it's less attractive. It seems like a very common insecurity, unfortunately. Just talk him through it. Maybe he can join the bald subreddit and talk to other bald dudes. 1. Tell him you prefer him bald too. Fuck his brains out after the two of you shave his head. 3. If this doesn't work, as others have said, counseling therapy. BJ should fix it. Am I the only one that 9.5/10 times hates the go to therapy advice? Severe trauma? Yes, okay, go to therapy. But therapy is not some magic answer to everything, and it's certainly not for everyone. Suggesting someone else go to therapy is very touchy, often rude, and can be taken very badly. Wow. I cut this shit out by pointing out what my boyfriend was obliquely saying about me. Look, I get it. You think I am petty and shallow and the sort of woman who is marking time until you get bald or a potbelly, at which point I'll dump you and find some new hot younger guy. It feels awesome, by the way, to know that this is the sort of woman and human being you think I am. Thanks for that. I don't know if someone said this already, but how do you talk about yourself and your baldness? Does he hear you talk negatively about your appearance? You can say a lot of reassuring things, but if you're not nice to yourself about being bald, he'll think you think those things about him as well. Again, I don't know how you talk about yourself when you're with him, but it's important to consider. Okay, since I didn't see it all posted as a balding man as well. Yeah, I miss my hair. I get sunburn so have to wear a hat. However, going bald isn't an issue really. Just tell him balding men usually have higher testosterone levels, so his lack of hair is really a sign of his manliness. See if that helps to reassure him. I've 30 got thinning hair and a bit of a spot on the crown of my head. I used to have huge curly hair that grew out to a fro in college. I was a little self-conscious when I started losing my hair because so many people loved my curls. What I've done to get past it is realize how much people don't notice or care. One helpful thing I did was watch TV and movies from a couple years ago and recognize the people who had thinning hair like mine and how I hadn't noticed or cared before. Kiss him on his bald head? Honey, have you looked at my head lately? I'm literally balder than you. I couldn't care what your head looks like, hair or no hair. Just keep reassuring him about it. He obviously has some kind of deep-rooted insecurity about going bald. Maybe ask him if there's a reason for it. Does he realize that he is hurting you with lack of trust for your love and lack of empathy for your baldness? Reassure him you'll love him no matter what and that this is outside of his control. Tell him he'll look amazing bald. Maybe suggest, though in a way that it make it obvious you don't care either way whether he has hair or not, whether he has looked at how to maintain hair and grow more, Rogaine etc., or thinking about going for a hair transplant etc. If his hair is tied into his self-esteem that heavily. You could also point out that therapy may help with his esteem issues. Buy him a really nice hat from a haberdashery and inscript within it, "Leave me on a chair," or "Wear me where you used to have hair. Frankly, I just don't care. I love you forever, darling." He's obviously watched Seinfeld. He's been watching Seinfeld. He might also just be seeking reassurance in general. Not necessarily because he's worried about this in particular, but because he wants support and continuous reassurance and isn't sure how to ask. Lick the bald spot every day before bed. My husband wants me to go bald. I still have enough hair to play with. So as we cut each other's hair, I let him cut my sides ultra short, and then I have the center patch that still has that look that youngsters so now with the sharp love shaved out on the side. Which we skip because there isn't enough to make it look sharp. Anyway, bald spot of there in the back are absolutely fine. We gave each other right. If in the front, just go as short as possible is often very sexy on any type of men, even younger ones.